So let's review the idea of backwards reflection. So if you remember, backwards reflection is a technique for looking at a situation that didn't go so well and figuring out how you could have fixed it so it doesn't happen in the future. And the way you do it is by reflecting backwards. So you start in the bottom right corner of this little map, right, and you go backwards to remember what happened to cause you to get to a point where your cup was overfilling. So let's walk through an example. So here we're starting, again, you notice it's number 6, overflowing cup. So we're actually starting at the end. We're starting with you, or this person, in this case we'll say me, with their overflowing cup. So here they are, they're getting yelled at, being told they're in trouble. So this is their parents, they're in trouble now, and this guy's getting yelled at. Okay, that's making his cup overflow, he's in a lot of trouble, and he's pretty upset about that. Well, in a backwards reflection, to figure out how we got there, you go back one step at a time. So what happened to cause this yelling? What made this happen? Well, oops, sorry, I went literally backwards to the first slide. So right before that, well, the teacher called home and said this guy got into a fight. Okay, that's what led to the parents yelling at him because they got this phone call, they got upset, and now he's in trouble, and now his cup's really overflowing, right? But what caused the teacher to make that phone call to begin with? I keep going backwards, right? Thing before that, oh, well, here's me pushing LL. So I pushed this kid down. That got the teacher to make a call and say that we got in a fight. Well, why did I push that person? Well, we were arguing. We're yelling back and forth, and I'm saying right here, why did you push me? So I actually thought that this person pushed me. And notice how I changed suddenly to saying me instead of this person. I don't know why this happened to me. So it's me, right? Me yelling back and forth. Okay, what happened to that? Well, LL bumped into me, and that's what made me get mad. And standing in line for lunch is the first thing that happened. I was fine then, and then LL bumped into me. Couple things to note. Notice here I'm saying empty or almost empty cup. So you keep going backwards until you get to the point where you are fine. Okay? It's good to note here that up here it says somewhat empty cup for the one right after that. Here I'm changing it because it's somewhat full cup because he bumped into me and that filled my cup pretty fast. You notice for the rest of them, I changed it to a full cup. That's okay. You can change it to whatever is appropriate to you. You're not always going to have it follow the exact formula of what's in the reflection there. But anyway, once you've done this reflection, now you have this big picture that kind of illustrates how you got to this point where your cup was overflowing. And now we know different spots. Well, we could have done a lot of things differently. The reason we start at the end, again, is because if we start up here, we tend to skip, oh, he bumped into me, we got mad, and here I am, right? When you start from the end, the worst part about it, when you're most upset, it's a little bit easier to get through the details and really think through details to get you to a point where you're actually seeing everything that happened and all the spots you could have fixed, right? So for instance, I probably couldn't stop the teacher from making that particular phone call or me getting in trouble here. What I could have done is stopped here. I definitely could have done something to keep myself from pushing LL, could have done something to not have flown off the handle and assume that they're pushing me, right? I could have responded differently here when LL bumped into me. There's a lot I could have done to change things, and that's how a backwards reflection works. So you're going to get a chance to do your own backwards reflection, and then we're going to do something called backwards mapping to figure out what we could have done to solve the situation so that in the future, if something similar happens again, we know exactly what to do to solve it. And that's going to be using our coping skills at particular times to keep us from overflowing and getting to the point where things get much worse.